All right, welcome to the Okie Show, the podcast that dives into the finer details of navigating Oklahoma's film and music industry, and then tosses our guests into a couple improv games. I'm Brian Gillen, your host, and today we're going to be talking about faith-based filmmaking, and this is a topic that I've been wanting to do for a really, really, really long time because we're in the Bible Belt, and it's pretty darn relevant. I'm sitting across from some good dear friends of mine, Mr. Brian Cates and Mr. Adam Carter.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going, Brian?
It's going pretty good.
Thanks for having us on.
It is so good to have you guys on. You guys produced the indie drama Hollis, and then also the more tornado documentary Where Was God, which is now on Netflix, and you should watch it and try not to cry. You're also the main producers and directors for the Christian comedy duo The Skit Guys, and that's how I first met you.
Yes, was that 2012? No, it was 2013.
I think it was 20.
When you
was it before you, Adam, got started?
It
was right. The first thing that I remember, our good friend Gilly on, was when we were shooting at your in-laws' place in Tuttle. Or close to it.
No. He was on our sets way before then.
See, that you were probably even participating on the sets before I was even on
That's crazy.
Staff.
2013.
Well, and that's the thing is you're on staff. You're like full time, and I just freelance for you guys.
Yeah.
But I should clarify that whenever I'm on a Skit Guys set, my name is Gilly. So if you hear them call me Gilly, do not be thrown off.
Gilly. Sorry.
So, sorry. So kind of I want you to introduce yourselves and what exactly you do. But again, this is, a podcast that has a little improv spin on it.
Show.
You guys are going to do competing Christopher Walken impressions while introducing yourselves. Think you can pull that off?
No, but
do your best.
Do our best. Okay. Adam, you go first.
So we're introducing ourselves?
Yes, and what exactly you do for the Skit Guys and for Behold Motion Pictures.
Gosh, Christopher Walken.
What do you do for this film production company?
Well, Brian, I am a producer with the Skit Guys, and you just gotta throw a lot of commas in there, or try to throw commas, and
This is so bad.
and
So tell us what you do.
Brian, I hate you, Gilly.
I love you, Adam.
I produce short films with the Skit Guys and make Brian do a bunch of stuff that he would otherwise not want to do, like shot lists and things under duress. And the accent is gone now.
It was good. It was good while it lasted, though. So, Brian, can you do better than that?
No,
Oh
and I'm anxious to hear it.
Welcome to the
my
podcast.
gosh.
Just throw you right into the deep end.
Throw us into the deep end. Okay, Adam. Thanks for the handoff. So, my name is Brian Cates, and I'm a director and producer for the Skit Guys. And
Now's where it starts to hurt.
stop my...
It starts to fade.
I think that was a proper introduction. I think that was So I've been making content for the Skit Guy since 2005. Adam came on a couple of years ago as my associate producer. He has now pretty much taken over all of my producer responsibilities, and I am in the process of transitioning Skit Guys into a feature film company.
Yeah.
So that's what I spend a lot of my time doing. But I'm still directing all of our content.
Yeah.
Just not doing a lot of the producing of it.
That's awesome. Can you explain, I mean, either one of you, explain what exactly the Skit Guys are?
So the Skit Guys are two best friends from high school. who became just these two guys that travel all over the world doing Christian sketch comedy. And they're really funny. They pack out churches all over the country and in all of other countries. And yeah, so that's what they do. So when they're not traveling, we make content with them. A lot of it's comedy, most of it's comedy. Mm-hmm. But there's some tearjerkers in there too. So
yeah.
So that's who they are.
The short of it is usually I say we're a Christian resourcing company. We
Right.
make short films for churches to use to facilitate in their worship.
Yeah.
And that's
I feel like that's been something that's like slowly growing more and more, like, because I do a lot of work
Yeah.
with Life Church, and their production department has just like exploded into this. Like they're about to build their own soundstage.
it's nuts.
huge.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's one of the things that's always. I might be skipping ahead a little here, but with the world of Christian filmmaking and when media and stuff kind of came out, like the church was all of a sudden like, whoa,
Right.
wait
a second.
we need to hold back. This could be evil, or whatever. And there was
Devil's
this
in that their camera.
Yeah, there was this regression. Like when you look back into history, the people that are on top of the technology most is the church. I mean,
Right.
printing press, first place to have printing presses.
I
Churches.
never thought of that.
Like all these technologies, the church was on the forefront of the technology and using it for the gospel,
Right.
or whatever reasons they were using it. But in the last 50 years, it's been a total opposite thing of like, it's that whole, hey, wait,
Yeah.
internet,
Rock and
website,
roll?
you know?
Wait.
And that's one of the deals with all the content that you see on the internet now that you would call questionable. You know, when the church stepped back, other people stepped forward.
Oh, okay.
So it's a huge case study. It's a real interesting read on the whole deal. But with technology in the church, it's starting to catch back up again. Like, it's like, oh, we can have church online. Oh, we can
Right. I mean, like,
videos.
dude, I
We
live and
can-
breathe through podcasts.
Yeah,
Like,
all kinds
I don't
of
have
stuff.
time to go to church or anything anymore. So I go to the church of podcasts.
So
But I wonder, why do you think that is? Why do you think that there was such a, pushback from this technology with media?
I feel like it was a lot of fear.
Yeah.
Instead of embracing change, it came down to a generation of pushback, I think, is what it was. That can take people away, as opposed to how could we use this
Right.
as a tool or an instrument,
Yeah.
instead of let's hide from it. Because if you're going to hide from it, somebody else is going to exploit it.
Right.
And it could be the opposite of what you do. And that's why I'm so passionate about the faith-based filmmaking aspect of things, is because I want to make stuff that's positive, uplifting, that serves what I feel is a greater purpose and power and all that stuff to teach and to grow. And that's why I love what I do.
Yeah.
And it's because I get to hopefully show somebody something they didn't know before.
Sure.
And I'm sure that's what all filmmakers do. And
Right.
my
I feel like every
slant's just-
filmmaker,
yeah.
like, everybody has some kind of message or something like that they, want to show through their stories. But we're gonna talk more about that.
Yeah.
But we're gonna skip over to kind of we're gonna do some trivia. You guys ready for some trivia? This is very light trivia.
Always ready for trivia, Brian.
Yes. Okay.
Always.
So, question number 1: what Frank Peretti book has not been adapted into a feature film? Is it The Visitation, This Present Darkness, or Hangman's Curse? Frank Peretti is basically the faith-based equivalent of Stephen King.
Oh.
Best-selling author, mostly like back in the 90s and early 2000s, and he started to kind of make a comeback. But him and Ted Decker have been doing some stuff together.
That's actually interesting, because in the 90s I was just reading Stephen King.
Oh, so, and I was just reading Frank Peretti, and now I'm reading Stephen King, and you should be reading Frank Peretti.
Yeah, I guess so.
I think it's This Present Darkness.
This
See?
Present Darkness.
I got it.
Yep. Which, yeah, actually, that movie was being optioned by Universal and got caught up in Turnaround, which sucks because that's an amazing book.
See, that's one of the things, like, I am reminded every day how many movies are made that you've never heard of. Mm-hmm. Like, forget Christian films, because that's a niche. You can go to a Christian bookstore and see hundreds of titles with like B-list actors in them that you recognize and you never knew they existed. Even more so in the world outside of that niche. It is. There are so many movies.
It's so intimidating.
There are so many movies out there, and so many good ones that no one's ever seen.
That's the key. So many good ones that no one has a clue about.
Which is a good plug for Where Was God? You can watch it for free on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. And it's
right now.
It's really good. That's the documentary you guys did over the Moore tornado.
Yes.
And it's won some awards, hasn't it?
It has won a few awards. Yes. So it is an award-winning film. Yes. So.
And it's on Netflix.
Which is
awesome.
Yes, it's won some best documentary stuff at some festivals, and so that's good.
Moving on to question number 2: Who was the creator of VeggieTales?
Phil Vischer.
Oh man, you beat me to it. I was gonna say
killed it.
This was gonna be a trick question because the options were Bob the Tomato, Mike Noraki, and Phil Vischer, and Phil Vischer actually voices Bob the Tomato. So either one of those would have been right. Okay, I got one last trivia question. Which classic novelist was responsible for C.S. Lewis's faith? Was it Aldous Huxley, J.R.R. Tolkien, or J.K. Rowling?
I want to say it was Tolkien.
It was totally Tolkien.
You are correct.
Yes.
They were buddies.
Boom,
they were.
roasted.
Well, because C.S. Lewis was like an atheist or something beforehand.
Yeah.
And then they started hanging out and having theological discussions, and then
Right.
Yeah.
And then C.S. Lewis became, one of the greatest thinkers of the Christian faith. I mean,
The man is a think tank.
a think tank of thoughts.
And I put that question in there just to kind of show the relevance of like faith-based filmmaking, things that are faith-based, and it's not necessarily just Christian, but they are very relevant in our society. Like J.R.R. Tolkien was the author of Lord of the Rings, and that's become one of the biggest franchises in our history. Next to Star Wars.
Next to Star Wars.
We don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
but
Those
we
words
can.
don't need to be mentioned. Or
Star or Wars, or just both of them combined?
You can't put them close. There has to be a good Star Wars, and then we can keep talking. But as soon as those words go together, we begin down a very
down a dark path,
very very dark path of conversation that will take us away, very
to a galaxy,
very far away from the topics at hand.
So let's bring it back into. I want you guys to explain exactly because this is definitely not a faith-based podcast. This is this is a secular podcast.
Sure.
We have everybody in here. Explain to the layman what exactly faith-based filmmaking is.
Well, that's a kind of for me that's a difficult thing to describe, because I think that filmmaking has a lot of different worldviews in it. There's definitely films out there that have agendas. There's films out there that have worldviews. Like you can go watch any movie and experience an agenda subplot, right?
Yeah.
So what would be something like $1 Million Baby? $1 Million Baby was an amazing movie. It made a very strong statement about euthanasia, right?
Yeah.
So and there's a lot of it. Even Jurassic World has the industrialization, capitalization of war theme threaded into
that
it.
Subplot was
it's just kind of a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Like every movie has a worldview. Not every movie. Every movie does have a worldview because every movie has a director, and that director has a specific view on the world.
Right.
So I feel like faith-based filmmaking, it very simply is making a film where the filmmaker has a worldview that's grounded in some sort of faith.
Right.
Now, what they do with that is there's all kinds of different things that they could do with that. So, yeah, I mean, you can have like your Tim LaHaye,
Yeah.
you know, and movies where you're gonna what is Left Behind?
The Left Behind series.
Left Behind movies. So your fictionalization of, I'm sorry, in my opinion, a fictionalization of the end times.
Right.
But
You mean
sorry, everyone
people's
out
clothes
there,
aren't
if I'm
just gonna
offending
be
you.
perfectly placed. To
Yeah. So you have that. You also have like even Sherwood Films. They do a great job making movies. Courageous and all those movies. They definitely have a worldview and an agenda. Their agenda is to share the gospel and to try to make movies that people want to bring their friends to, or that just Christians are inspired by, inspired to watch.
Well, and there was another film that was just recently. I think it was War Room. Yeah, it was called War Room.
Yeah. War Room,
and it was like, I think it was #1 in the box office there. For
It was. It was. They have a big following. It's the same director as Courageous, I believe.
Right.
Courageous and Fireproof and all that.
Yeah. Right.
You know, I think the path that we're going to be taking in that, and with having a Christian worldview in our filmmaking,
Right.
is more along the path of Christian entertainment, whereas I think a lot of films have a gospel-centered agenda to them. You know, at the core of our faith and our worldview is the gospel, but we're making a movie that's going to be entertaining to Christians and even non-Christians alike. We want to make people laugh, and so that's what we want to make people feel things too. You know, you can't have a lot of humor without a lot of heart. But I think what you're going to see in our film is hopefully, in our films coming out, hopefully you'll see a good effort in trying to make people laugh,
Right.
make people not take themselves too seriously.
Yeah.
So.
And let's talk about that for a second, because especially whenever you have a very specific audience, and
Sure.
so not only do you have to do clean comedy, but you have to do clean comedy that is also Christian.
Sure.
So tell me about some of the obstacles that you run into because clean comedy is hard. It's really, really freaking hard.
It is hard. And, you know, we're even guilty of giving in and doing some of the fart jokes sometimes. Like that is the cuss word in the Christian world, right? Is poop and pee and all that stuff.
People don't poop and pee.
Right.
Rainbows come out of there.
But yeah, it's difficult. Like, we have to serve a very specific audience, and I'm sure that everybody gets critical review. Everybody gets critical review, but you know, I feel like our audience and the world that we create content for, sometimes we have to be so sensitive, because not only do we live in a PC world,
Yeah,
but
you're
we
PC within the PC.
Yes.
PCception.
Yeah. We made a really funny short last month. It was a big production. We traveled out of state to create it.
Yeah.
We couldn't afford to bring you with us, Brian, because
And you went to Colorado without
we
me.
went to Colorado. It was already, but we made a really funny short that had some great heart. It was kind of a Princess Bride theme, you know, that kids don't want to go to bed. Tell us one more story, Daddy. So he tells them the story. And it's all magic and inventive, and the kids take over, and the characters become superheroes and all kinds of, like, it's really fun. But what we didn't realize was, we might be offending some people in this story. So we had to take it down.
It was just like an outfit or something like that.
Yeah. It was what one of the characters was portraying was, and we won't go into details, but yeah, you're exactly right. When you say that we live in a PC world inside of a PC world, that's what it is to make Christian content.
So it's hard enough to just write clean comedy for the normal world, but not you're writing clean comedy for the Christian world, which is, you've got all these different denominations and stuff that you have to deal with.
Well,
everybody has a different
about
spin on it.
Yeah, and think about just like, I don't know how many of you listeners out there are familiar with the church world, but there are many different ways to baptize someone.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And we have...
You can offend somebody with the method that you choose.
We have some funny baptism ideas of how we can make some shorts that involve baptism. But some people's flavor is sprinkling.
Right.
Some people's
Splashed
flavor
with
is
water.
dunking.
Right.
Some people's flavor is infant.
Right.
Some people's flavor is post-conversion. So there's all these different flavors out there.
Flavors o baptism.
Yeah, flavors o baptism. So we can't touch that because there's just it's a dicey topic.
And the majority of the flavors aren't like you and I would eat orange candy and strawberry candy. It'd be like me eating orange candy and then someone eating poop candy.
Right.
There's not.
You don't eat poop candy.
There's not a grade of severity. It's either an off switch or an on switch.
Right.
And
there is no middle ground.
That's when you say a PC world within a PC world, like we literally have to say if that's going to flip an off switch, then we avoid it.
Well,
and that's
I mean,
what makes
like,
it difficult.
And you guys are putting out content consistently. You're constantly having to come up with new stuff, and it's mostly comedy. How do you do that?
We have a guy that we put in a closet, and
we don't give him any food and water until he comes out with a script.
If he stops typing, he gets tased.
And he doesn't. He gets an old school typewriter.
Yes,
and an old school taser.
It's an electric chair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with
you
leather,
will write or you will die.
20,000 volts straight to the noggin.
We put the sponge on his head, everything, the whole works. Anybody see the movie Shocker when you were a kid? It was a horrible. It wasn't even a B movie. It was like a C movie about this guy that got the electric chair and came back to life to haunt people.
But his ghost was the electric chair.
That would have been even better. No, he was the ghost.
So anytime any new criminal got down in the chair, he was just like, "I'm just gonna hug you for a little bit."
Oh goodness! No, you're right. You
and I can do this together.
What was funny was I don't know if it was part of the shock or part of like the crime that he committed or maybe just an accident from childhood, but he had one dead leg that he drugged behind him.
Of course.
And so he would walk and then just drag the leg and take a step and drag the leg.
How did he ever catch anybody? That's just
I don't
totally
know.
impractical. They did not think that one through.
I don't know, but anytime I wanted to scare my sister growing up, all I had to do was walk like Shocker. And she would run
Sounds
into
like
the
a
other
song.
room. Walk like Shocker.
Like Shocker.
Yeah. But going back to the question the thing that you asked, how do we create so much? You're right. We create about 30. I think this year we've created about 35 pieces of content.
Yeah.
This year, so it's by committee. Like we have a great team, and everyone on our team is creative.
Yeah.
And so no idea is a bad idea. It does not apply because we'll tell you if it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
And we work really well together.
How many people are in your writer's room?
So we have one lead writer who kind of takes the lead on revisions and getting us stuff, and he's the one that really feels the burden of the deadlines. But then there's 6 of us that go into the writing room, and so we have a very
That's like a sitcom writing room.
It's like a sitcom writing room.
Mm-hmm.
But we have like this last series of stuff that we're turning out, we maybe had 6 development drafts, and then some of our scripts have gone into
we had a
pink draft.
We had a 1.0 through 5.0, like rough.
Yeah.
And we locked, and we're at pink. No, I think we hit green.
We've hit green on a couple of them.
For the layman listener, how many revisions would that be?
See, I got white, blue, yellow, pink. 5. So 5 on top of 5.
I always get the revision colors all sorts of confused.
Yeah.
I just get my sides at the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
Like,
so-
okay, this is what we're shooting.
So the
And if Brian's on our sets, he never gets the size.
just
Yeah.
tell me where to put the
Finds-
boom mic,
Yeah.
Finds out where
Who's
to
talking?
point it.
and then we're like, Gilly. Sorry.
It's because I'm hiding in the corner.
And it's not so much just the writing that's the burden. I mean, you know, our room may tell you that that's the biggest burden, but being in production, there's only two of us that are really in production, other than Tommy and Eddie, because they're actors and they're executive producers, so they weigh in on all the edits and through post-production and stuff, and they give feedback throughout the whole thing, and they're awesome.
And Tommy and
But-
Eddie are the actual skit guys.
Tommy and Eddie are the actual skit guys. Yeah, like all throughout the year, like I was telling you earlier, we are in every stage of production that you can be on different projects at the same time. So we'll be in development, pre-production, production, and post-production, and marketing and distribution, all at the same time.
And conceptual.
Oh yeah, and conception. Yeah, because
So you never sleep, basically.
No. No. If somebody's listening to this and they want to come save me, no. I love my job. We both, that's the best, our favorite thing is we both get to always, like, people like, do you like what you do? And it's like, I love my job. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I wouldn't, it's the best. But this fall was the craziest. I think at one point we had 6 projects going on at one time, all in different phases.
Wow.
And it was just nuts.
Well, and to put it into perspective, how many projects do you finish in 1 year?
About this year, we'll probably hit about 35 or so.
Wow. And that's short films that are about how long each?
In between,
2 and 6
we
minutes.
always try to get them to be about 2 minutes. Some of them are like 4.
But
Yeah, they're in between 2 and 6 minutes usually.
Man, that's crazy.
Short film kind of deals.
And so I can only imagine what it would be like to work on a show like Game of Thrones, where they've got 2 units going at the same time, and they're shooting for like 6 solid months. I think that's the number that I remember reading.
Yeah,
Like, wow, that's crazy.
it's crazy.
What do you think that? Why do you think that having faith-based films is an important thing?
I think it's important because we're giving a voice to a certain demographic that hasn't had a huge voice in that industry yet. I mean, I think if you go back to, the early stages of filmmaking, you had a lot of different voices. But no, I think it's important because of that. I think it's important that that you have movies out now, like Woodlawn. The Erwin brothers did an incredible job on Woodlawn. Woodlawn was just as good as Remember the Titans. And that's the story. It's basically Remember the Titans. It's a civil rights era film, but it's a true story on how the gospel changed this school during the first year of integration.
Right.
So, and they did it so well. I mean, they did it so well. It's a great little film. And I mean, Mark Burnett produced it. I think it was like a $25 million film. So, they spent some serious money on a real faith-based film, and they did it really well. So I think the important thing now is that we have really good, we have films being made in the mainstream for this demographic, for this audience. But what we're starting to see is there's some really talented filmmakers working in this.
Well, I mean, on that note, like, it seems like, especially here in the Midwest, some of the most talented filmmakers that we have around here seem to be based in a church or with a faith-based group or something like that. You know what I mean? Because of the fact that they're constantly putting out content like what you guys do.
Right.
Like, they're able to sharpen that tool more so than, Joe Blow over here that, isn't associated with, this backer that is the church.
Right. It's a great place to cut your teeth. Adam and I both cut our teeth in the church. before we started doing this,
Yeah.
you know, and you'd go for months having to create new content every single week. You're like the film unit of Saturday Night Live, but it's only
Right.
you, and you don't have any money.
Yeah.
That's what it is to work in the media department at a church.
Yeah.
So when you come out of that world and into a world kind of like ours, now you have maybe 30 projects to do a year, which is maybe still the same amount, but you have a team and you have some money, you can really start to make some stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, the church is actually a really amazing training ground, because there's not a lot of production companies that are doing that kind of work, that often, unless you are Saturday Night Live. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. I mean, like, I can't think of any other way that you would be able to have that experience.
right.
And that's really cool. So you guys get involved with your church.
Yeah, go volunteer.
Yeah.
Make stuff all the time.
There does seem to be, like, in the everyday world, there does seem to be somewhat of a stigma towards faith-based films. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, because they're
They
bad.
do.
Because they're bad.
Because they deserve their stigma.
Let's talk about that, though. I mean, like, why do you think that is? Not the stigma, because the stigma is because they're bad movies, but why are they bad movies?
I think God, there's a lot of opinions you could throw around, and that's really all they are. If you asked me, for me, it's a little bit of a combination between being contained in that PC within a PC
Yeah.
civilization, which is the church, and fear of outcast, and 10 or 15 years ago, if you were making movies, it was like, wow, that's questionable,
Right.
it wasn't a thing now where people are like, oh, you're a Christian filmmaker. That's great.
Yeah.
Let me see your movies. It was kind of, like I said
Right.
earlier, it's kind of a pushback thing.
Kind of. I feel like there's still quite a bit of that.
Oh, yes.
You're a Christian filmmaker.
But I think part of the reason is, what Brian touched on it a minute ago, it's that the agenda films.
Yeah.
And there's so many, and I can't even stand most agenda films. I'm always like, I'll just make a movie.
Well, and I think that's an important distinction to make, that there's a difference between an agenda film and just a faith-based film.
Yeah. There is that thing of pounding home that taking the film at, using it as a preaching tool.
Right.
As where, like, I love the films where God is an understood entity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's he is gravity. He's just like gravity. No one watches a film and thinks, why are those people not floating off the earth?
Yeah.
Right. When Robert De Niro walks into a church to pray and ask God for help, nobody thinks anything different of it, because he was just walking in a church and praying and asking God for help, and he moves on and goes on in the story. That's a great device to use God as gravity. Oh, the main character has some type of faith.
Mm-hmm.
Great,
Exactly.
let's move on.
And it's not a thing. It's just part of the world.
It's
It's
part of their worldview. I mean,
right.
And that's the great thing about what we've talked about earlier, is that's what we want to be. We want to be that worldview kind of thing where it is what it is. To us.
Because nobody likes to be preached at. And there's plenty of, secular things that I'll watch and just be like, all right, come on. I don't care. Just get to the story.
Yeah. And that's why I think because it's easiest, I guess, to take a faith-based film and see their agenda, and usually there's not a whole lot of money involved on top of it. And
Yeah.
it's just combining bad storytelling with bad low quality
Bad execution.
Yeah, it's just, and so there's that stigma that you get from all that, and that's where I think it mostly comes from, is just not the greatest filmmaking combined with preaching at people.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't think they're based on a lot of the same business models that the traditional Hollywood films. And I mean, we have to remember that there's a lot of bad movies that are not Christian movies.
Right.
There's a ton of bad movies. Go to your red box.
Yeah.
Half of them are bad movies. Probably 3/4 of them are
half
bad
of them
movies.
is generous.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of bad movies out there, and I think one of the things that hurts Christian films from quality is just the fact that they're not wrapped up in some of the same business models. Like really great scripts get a lot of money behind them. Then they get people that are really talented, some of the best at what they do, to come in and work on them for years.
Yeah.
And then they make these movies, and some of them are good.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like some of them are really good.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't. And, you know, you just haven't had, I think, you know, I think Woodlawn might be one of the very first examples of a $25 million movie actually doing really, really great.
Yeah.
I didn't see Nick Cage in the latest Left Behind, but
I watched it and I gave it the benefit of the doubt, and it's not a good movie, but it's not a terrible movie.
Yeah,
Surprisingly enough, it's not a terrible movie. But again, it's not a good movie.
and that probably had a pretty big budget, you know? And so
it definitely had to.
What you probably experienced is the production value of having all that money.
Right.
And I think a lot of Christian movies go in with an agenda. They go in saying, you know, how can the buzzword in the Christian world is how can we be a good steward with what we have, right?
Yeah.
Right.
How can we spend our money wisely? So if you have like, let's say, can we make a movie for $500,000? Sure, you can make a movie for $500,000. Okay, well then let's do
Will
that.
it be a good one?
Because our agenda isn't to spend a lot of money and then make a whole lot more money back.
Right.
Our agenda is to get a message out.
Right.
And I think that is at odds with quality. It's at direct odds with quality.
Yeah.
So
That's a really interesting point.
so I think it's easy for me to say that most Christian films are bad because they're just not founded in the same values
Right.
that big budget movies have.
That's the truth. It's what the key word was. It's about a message, not about the money.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean that's great, but if it's also not about, like you said, the excellence or the quality, and that
Right.
your message dies, it doesn't
Yeah.
have legs.
Well, I've always felt like, the message is important, but if you have the message that's driving the story rather than the characters and the relationships that, the message is
Right.
inside, like, I feel like that is kind of a fundamental flaw.
Oh, sure it is. Has anybody read the Mammoth Memo? I mean, if you don't have a scene, I believe I'm having to channel film school here.
Right.
But if you don't have a scene that's not founded in conflict based on a character wanting something and willing to sacrifice or to go change to get it, you don't have a good scene ever.
Right.
And you're going to have, 60 scenes in a movie? It depends how fast-paced your movie is, but maybe 30 scenes, maybe 50 scenes, how many ever scenes you have in a movie. If they're not every scene doing that, you lose audience engagement.
Right.
That's why shows like The Good Wife exist, because of the Mammoth Memo, because every single scene you have some sort of subplot where crap is hitting the fan, literally.
Yeah.
Lives are on the line. And so, yeah, I think, what was the question?
Well, I was just making the point of when your agenda and your message is set above
Right.
your story and your character conflicts and character
Right.
development.
Right.
That I feel like that's a pretty fundamental trap that a lot of faith-based stuff gets stuck in. It's like we have to preach the gospel and we have to get this message out. Well, okay, but what about these characters and they're still within the natural world. Things don't just happen magically.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I read a great review of. I'll plug Woodlawn again. Hey, Irwin Brothers, if you're out there, I'd love to take you to coffee. But I read a great review of Woodlawn, in that the characters played the characters. The fundamental flaw with characters in faith-based movies up until this point is they've been people that the writer has tried to get us to like, but then all of a sudden they flip some sort of switch and turn into a religious sage,
Right.
when the story deems necessary for them to share the gospel or tell a friend that they're wrecking their life and they need Jesus. So what Woodlawn did so great was that it let characters be the characters that they are. Sean Astin's character is a chaplain.
Okay.
So his whole role,
so that makes sense.
His whole role in the movie was to try to share his worldview with the football team. That's his whole role, and it's based on a true story. And the coach's whole role was to.
Is Woodlawn? Is that a movie that's in theater? It was recently in theaters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still probably it started out relatively small, and then I think it kind of
It grew. It started out. It came out, and everybody was like, "What?" And then it
Sean
got
Astin,
a
hey Sam.
yeah, it got a 93 on Rotten Tomatoes, and everyone was like, "What?"
Since then, it's gone down to maybe like 86, but still, those are critical reviews.
Yeah, like
those aren't user reviews. Those are newspapers
actual
and
critics.
actual critics.
Yeah.
And it's like holding tight at about, I think maybe 86 now.
And that's
Wow.
what got
That's
its
great.
attention.
Yeah, that's
was
fantastic.
That up in the 90s first review.
Right.
And I remember seeing 2 or 3 different articles that came out with that, and it was like, Christians, what is wrong with you? Go see this movie.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
things
I think
like
I
that.
read that too. I think I even shared that on my Facebook
Yeah.
page of like, even when there's a good movie, you people aren't supporting it.
Yeah, so it's one of those deals. Like if there's not that, and that's another thing, that a stigma that fighting against in the whole faith-based filmmaking world is sometimes if there isn't that message of, that beat your face in the whole time message, then Christians may not get behind it. As we're Woodlawn, a totally different animal.
Yeah.
But it started with that when it kicked in, and people were like, "Go see this movie! Go see this movie!" And then everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, this is great!"
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it's still like Brian said, like it's still holding in the high 80s from critical reviews.
I'm gonna have to see it because I do remember you talking about it the other day.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of good faith-based movies.
What's great about it too, I mentioned about the characters. What's great about it is it lets the antagonists in the movie be natural antagonists, like the antagonists that we see in all of the movies. There's been some movies that have come out lately where they antagonize atheists, or they antagonize people that don't have faith at all, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so
and to a lot of people that
really
comes across as
bad
demonizing those people, and
it does. And I think in a large part it's it might be good marketing to rally the church at large around a message that they feel oppressed against, because that's the antagonist, is the person who doesn't like Christianity. But I just don't think it's a good message. I don't think Jesus would get behind that message.
Right. Like
I
portraying
just
these
don't.
people as being horrible earthly people.
No.
Yeah.
I think
Because I have
the
plenty of
example that we
atheist
have,
friends that are wonderful, wonderful people.
Exactly. The example we have from Jesus are that the people that he got onto were the holy rollers.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, like
The hypocritical Pharisees.
Yeah. So I just don't buy it. I don't. In our geopolitical climate, it's easy to make movies like that incorporate stories like that, because it's just the antagonism that our culture's used to.
Yeah.
Not a good
And
idea.
I feel like it doesn't do anything but create more division that we don't need. We have enough as it is. Like blah.
Right.
Tell me about how Skit Guys grew into what it is today.
We made a video called God's Chisel. That is
all.
That is all.
And then poof.
Yeah. So I started making content with the Skit Guys in 2005 when I was working at the same church as a media director as one of the Skit Guys is a pastor at. So we created a lot of content even back then. We made some resources for Zondervan, some DVD resources. For those of you who don't know who Zondervan is, they are the company that owns the Bible. I'm kidding.
This company owns the Bible.
Kidding, but I think they do own the NIV translation.
They
do. The copyright.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I think it's a thing. Yeah.
I wonder if that's for like every religious book, you know?
I don't know.
Like, but somebody owns the Book of Mormon.
Yeah, I mean, they're one of the bigger
Mormons.
publishers. But anyway, so we did stuff like that. But there's a skit guy's skit called God's Chisel, and we made that, and some random fan watched it and put it on YouTube, and it went viral. It literally went viral. Like, nowadays, you just hate that word because, you know,
It's gone viral.
yeah, local news will say this video's gone viral. It's like, yeah, it has like 30,000 views.
Yeah.
Viral. So this video went viral, and we were like, what do we do with this? What do we do with this?
What have we done?
And so we messaged her a message and we said, hey, this is great. This is our video. So can you maybe like put skitguys.com on it or something like because it just said, hey, this video is awesome. Watch this. That's what it said in the description. Can you put like it's like the Skit Guys and put skitguys.com on it?
People always forget that whenever they're sharing quote unquote viral videos.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, you know, social media really helped starting in about 2009, 2010. Once all our moms and dads started getting on social media.
Yep. Yeah.
that really helped too. Yeah, that video really kind of ballooned us, and then we've had some other great titles since then. There's a video called Mom Goggles that
I've seen that one.
Were you on that set?
I wasn't on that one, but I
Okay.
did watch it.
That did really well on the internet, and yet, I mean, just Tom and Ed out there touring helps a lot. But
Yeah.
you know, the great thing about having videos on the internet is they can be seen anywhere by anyone.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we have a TV show that's on a couple of Christian networks that we create content for. But even our TV show, it's like the same platform as the Chappelle Show. It's just Tommy and Eddie going, "Hey, watch this video."
Yeah.
That's my Dave Chappelle
Now watch this
impersonation.
next video.
That's my Dave Chappelle impersonation. So you can mark
Oh,
that
okay.
one off
I'll
of
write
your
that
cue
down.
card.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, and then they just show the content that we're already making. So
Right.
that's great having a TV show, but really having content on the internet.
Yeah. Well, it's
anybody
just
can
been
see
crazy
it.
how much the entity of Skit Guys has grown since I got involved back in 2013, I think. Because
Yeah.
whenever I first started with you guys, like you had plenty of gear and everything, but like now you have a full blown grip truck, and it seems like you've got a lot
my
more
baby.
people working. You're the king. You are the key grip.
The keys to the grip truck.
Yep. And
We do have a truck.
it just seems like we were shooting on DSLR at first, and now we're shooting on like Red Epic, and I mean like everything's Red shoots and everything. Like you just excelled so quickly in 3 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I just count it as a blessing from God. Like I don't know. I mean, we've created some good content, but I mean, yeah, we've really been blessed in how we've been able to do some of those things, and you know, so I think it's all good.
That's awesome. Well, you guys want to play some games?
Let's do it.
Love games.
Let's play some games.
Love games.
So this is a film and music podcast, but we also do lots of fun little improv games. We're not going to do a whole lot. We're just going to do enough to wet our whistles and call it a night. But so this first game is going to be called One Word Story. And the way that it works is that each person can only say one word to tell a story. And the story that we are going to tell, Brian, Adam, and I, is the story of a brave mouse who overcame his fear of cheese. And we're going to start with you, Brian. We're going to go around clockwise. So 3, 2, 1.
Consequently,
The
Mouse,
can't.
stand.
cheese,
However,
He
jumped,
through,
the
window,
beside,
a
vat,
of,
urine.
then
urinated,
In
the
cat.
continue.
How is this biologically, physiologically possible.
Really good aim. Really good.
Yeah.
Consequently,
The
Cat.
died.
so
The.
Mouse.
realized
His.
Urine.
was
Powerful.
Now,
he
Had.
a
slice
Of.
potato.
which
Consequently.
Allowed.
him
To.
Eat.
cheese.
Oh my! That was all.
in the cat.
We were doing so good until Adam said urine.
I was trying to. A
Sorry.
vat of urine. I don't know. It just sounded like it was what it was supposed to be.
It was a good warm-up game. All right, so this next game is called Whose Line Is It Anyway? The way that this works is, Brian, you're going to be playing Han Solo, and Adam, you're going to be playing Luke Skywalker, and you're going to be running from the Empire, and the hyperdrive is busted. But you are going to have 2 lines of dialogue that you have to play into the scene. So you grab 2, and you grab 2. 3, 2, 1.
Luke, tell Chewie to shut up. I'm trying to concentrate here.
Han said to tell you to. I'll go now.
Okay, look back there on those on the radar graph there, and tell me what it says below the panel.
It says malfunction.
That was a perfect opportunity for you to draw the. I was setting you up to grab the paper and read the paper.
All right,
Han, you sound
rewind.
funny.
Han, ask that question again.
Hey, Luke, see the dials over there?
Yeah.
Look under the dial on the far left and tell me what it says.
It says, I like a duchacha.
Okay, good. What we need is more duchacha. So bring in the duchacha cart from the closet back there.
Okay. What's the passcode to the duchacha closet?
The passcode to the duchacha closet is the pen is blue.
The pen is blue. The pen is blue. Is it like PIN or it's not working? The PIN? Okay, here's the Han, here's the cart.
Okay, great. Now we need to get these things plugged into the hyperdrive machine. Do you know how to do that?
No.
Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to open the hyperdrive machine and plug these things in.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay.
Empire
Wait.
makes a direct hit on the Millennium Falcon.
Okay, hurry. Put the shields
Okay.
on. Put the shields on high.
The shields are not working. I thought you said that this bucket of
Okay. Look in the manual under hyperdrive and find the instructions for shields or shields are not working.
Hold on. This book is freaking huge. How do you expect us?
Look in the index. Look in the index under shields.
It says shields. I need to get rid of this food baby.
Oh, the food baby, of course. That's
Brought the food baby on the mission.
Here's the thing about the food baby. The food baby's mother wants alimony and child support, so it's kind of hard on every third weekend not to bring the food baby on the Millennium Falcon.
Look, Han, I know that you've got a lot of personal baggage, okay? But we're trying.
You wouldn't believe.
We are trying to defeat the Empire here. We have got a galactic starship on our butt firing plasma at us. We don't have time to deal with your babies.
That's what she said. But
We're gonna die.
But I think I have a plan. I think I have a plan.
We are gonna die.
I think I have a plan. I'm going to consult my lucky fortune cookie that I have saved for such a time as this. I got it on the planet Pinchon from a from the
Fortune teller?
famed fortune cookie maker, and he said that in your time of greatest distress, open this fortune cookie, and it will have all the answers to your problems.
It's moldy.
Okay, I'm going to crack it open here. Crack. And we'll read what it says here. I smell something fishy.
I think it's the fortune cookie, Han.
All right. Yes. That was good. Fantastic. Okay, we got one last game. This is a game called Eulogy.
Are you going to play it with us?
I'm going to play it with you.
Okay, good.
And this is where we're going to have some fun impressions to do. So, Brian, you are going to be playing Gollum.
Okay.
Adam, you're going to play Jerry Seinfeld. And then I'm going to attempt my Gilbert Godfrey. And okay, so this is eulogy, and we are all three saying a eulogy one at a time for the brave mouse that died after getting food poisoning from eating the cheese.
Probably a lot of urine in it.
Naturally. So I'll start out. So So my name is Gilbert Godfrey. And this mouse is dead. He ate the cheese and now he's dead. How many times do I have to tell you to not eat the cheese or else you always reach a terrible demise? Thank you.
Okay, let's see here. The mouse was a very good friend of mine. I met him in my cave. And one day, he came to me with cheese and says, Gollum, would you like some cheese?
I don't know where I'm going with this. That was horrible. Guys, I can't finish this.
Thank you very much. That was ridiculous. Now you, Jerry Seinfeld, everyone.
You start it by saying, what's the deal with cheese?
What's the deal with cheese? And this mouse, he's jumping over urine vats. He's urinating in cats. I told him, don't eat the cheese. Kramer told him, don't eat the cheese. I said, don't eat the cheese. And he ate the cheese, and now he's dead. No soup for you.
All right.
Oh, painful, Brian.
It's so painful.
Oh, that was so painful.
I warned you whenever you guys were going to come on the show. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on to the
Thanks
podcast.
for having us.
Tell our audience where they can find your website, your social media, all that jazz.
Yes. So go to skitguys.com. You can watch all of our videos for free. You can watch all our videos for free at skitguys.com, facebook.com/skitguys to connect with us. We're on all the social medias. You can find links to all those at skitguys.com.
And if you're crazy and you want more podcast material, the Skit Guys actually have.
They do, and
podcast.
It is fantastic. Like I was marathoning Skit Guys podcast on the way from, I had a shoot like way down in Lawton, and I was listening to it all the way back. So hopefully we're actually going to have Tom and Ed on the show eventually.
They would be fun, and
Yeah.
they could actually do improv.
They could actually
too.
do it and do voices. Like
I think that was
the only
better
thing
than y'all think it was.
I think the only thing Brian and I can do is Gollum. I think we should have just Gollumed each other the whole time.
What's the deal with mouse turds? Well, awesome. Yeah, check them out on their website, and also plug Behold Motion Pictures.
So yes, you can watch Behold's latest project, Where Was God, for free on Netflix, or you can go to Where Was Dog.
Where was the mouse?
Wherewasdog.com.
Where was Dog?
Yeah, wherewasgod.com. You can you can purchase the movie there. I think there's a church bulk pricing and a book and resourcing and all that fun stuff there as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, before we go, I got to say thanks to Walking Stick Design for our awesome logo. If you need a logo, t-shirt design, or any other graphics design work, contact Clint at 405-627-1193 or email him at clint@walkingstickdesign.com. You can also visit me on Facebook, Twitter, and prairiedogpictures.com. And we'll see you guys next time. Again, thank you to Brian Cates, and Adam Carter for coming onto the show. This is the Okie Show. See y'all next time.
Okie Show.